Now we will discuss the exchange of gases in plants. The process by which exchange of gases takes place in plants is diffusion. We have studied about the diffusion in our previous class. What is diffusion? The movement of particles from its higher concentration to its lower concentration is known as diffusion. In plants, diffusion of gases takes place, and that's how the exchange of gases takes place in plants. First, we talk about the roots. Roots have tiny hair-like structures known as root hairs, as we have discussed it or we have studied it in class 9th, that root hair are the modification of epithelial tissue. जो रूट हेयर होता है बच्चों वो epithelial tissue का modification होता है, and that are very fine structures. They are very fine, very thin structures. So due to those thin line structures, the diffusion of gases takes place very easily, as there is no photosynthesis, so no production of oxygen in the roots. Here, air spaces between the soil particles is present. These are soil particles which are. Among these soil particles, these greenish are air spaces, air gaps in that air is filled. From that air, oxygen is diffused in and carbon dioxide is diffused out. And that's how diffusion occurs in root hair. Next is stems. Stems are of two types basically. One is herbaceous stem, that is the green stem, which is also referred as a shoot, and the other one is hard and woody stem. In green stems, there is a tiny microscopic structures present known as stomata, and the diffusion occurs through stomata. Whereas in hard and woody stem, which is a very good question for 1 mark, that is tiny microscopic pores are present. ये एक हार्ड वुडी स्टेम है बच्चे, उसमें एक टिनी माइक्रोस्कोपिक पोर प्रेजेंट होगा, वो पोर हमें नेक्ड आई से दिखाई नहीं देगा. दैट टिनी माइक्रोस्कोपिक पोर इज नोन एज lenticel, and through those lenticels the exchange of gases takes place. The outer air contain oxygen, the oxygen will move towards the cell from lenticels, and the CO2 from those cells will move out to the atmosphere through the same lenticels. That's how diffusion takes place in hard and woody stems across tiny microscopic pores known as lenticels. Next, in leaves, we have discussed in nutrition as well, autotrophic nutrition, that stomata performs the exchange of gases in case of leaves. When stomata open and close, that's how the gases exchange takes place in plants, especially in the leaves of plants. One point we must have to learn that diffusion is a very slow process. That will be very handy for you in the next section. Diffusion जो है बच्चों एक बहुत slow process है. ये हम क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं स्पेशल पॉइंट को, क्योंकि बच्चे हम आगे चलकर पढ़ेंगे कि diffusion एक slow process है, इसीलिए मल्टी सेलुलर कॉम्प्लेक्स ऑर्गेनिज्म में diffusion sufficient नहीं है. तो यहां से हम एक बात और जोड़ पाएंगे कि ये जो एक्सचेंज ऑफ गैसेस हो रहा है प्लांट्स में, दैट इज अ वेरी स्लो प्रोसेस. व्हाई? बिकॉज इट अकर्स थ्रू डिफ्यूजन, एंड एज वी ऑल नो दैट डिफ्यूजन इज अ वेरी स्लो प्रोसेस. सो विल अगेन रिवाइज इट. इन रूट्स द डिफ्यूजन अकर्स थ्रू सिंपली रूट हेयर into the air spaces directly. In stems, in herbaceous stem, the exchange of gases takes place through stomata. In hard and woody stems, the exchange of gases takes place through tiny microscopic pores known as lenticels. In leaves, the exchange of gases takes place through microscopic pores known as stomata. So that's how exchange of gases takes place in plants. Now we study modes of exchange of gases, that is respiration, in other organisms. First, in amoeba, like unicellular organism, not amoeba only, the amoeba, paramecium, they are unicellular organisms, so they diffuse gases through their general body surface, that is their cell membrane. जितने भी unicellular simple organisms हैं बच्चों, उनमें जो exchange of gases होता है, that takes place through their general body surface, that is their cell membrane, by a process named as simple diffusion, as in case of plants. Second, in earthworm, it's a multicellular organism. It has a moist skin, so the respiration or the exchange of gases takes place through its moist skin. अब इसकी skin जो होती है हम जानते हैं slimy और गीली होती है, उसके through exchange of gases होता है, and that exchange of gases through moist skin is known as cutaneous respiration. So if someone asks you what is cutaneous respiration, the mode of respiration in which exchange of gases takes place through the moist skin is known as cutaneous respiration. Next, in fishes, which are aquatic, which used to live in an aquatic habitat, that is, they used to live in water, they take dissolved oxygen. The oxygen which is dissolved in water. So for that, they have a specialized membranous organs known as gills. And the respiration or the exchange of gases through gills is known as brachial respiration. जो exchange of gases बच्चों gills के through होता है, especially in aquatic organism like fishes, उस exchange of gases को हम brachial respiration बोलते हैं. Next, in cockroaches or in insects, there are special tiny holes present over their whole body. That holes or those holes are known as spiracles. These spiracles are connected with each other as well as with the atmosphere directly by long pipes known as tracheae. Due to the presence of that tracheae, the respiration is known as a tracheal respiration or tracheal system of respiration. It is the only system of respiration in which the cells of multicellular organism are in direct contact with the atmosphere. ये एकमात्र ऐसा रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम है मल्टी सेलुलर ऑर्गेनिज्म का जिसमें एक्सचेंज ऑफ गैसेस एटमॉस्फेयर से डायरेक्टली होता है सेल्स के साथ. And the last one, which we have to study in detail, in humans, in multicellular complex organism, in mammals, the respiration or the exchange of gases takes place through specialized organ named as lungs. And the mode of respiration in which exchange of gases takes place through lungs is known as pulmonary respiration. अब बच्चों एक क्वेश्चन यहां पर आएगा और एक एनसीईआरटी क्वेश्चन है बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट कि जब बच्चों लंग्स है हमारे पास तो लंग्स डिफ्यूजन से क्यों नहीं कर पा रहे एक्सचेंज ऑफ गैसेस. हम मल्टी सेलुलर कॉम्प्लेक्स ऑर्गेनिज्म डिफ्यूजन से क्यों नहीं कर पाते एक्सचेंज ऑफ गैसेस. व्हाई डिफ्यूजन इज इनसफिशिएंट टू मीट द ऑक्सीजन रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ मल्टी सेलुलर कॉम्प्लेक्स ऑर्गेनिज्म. कि जो डिफ्यूजन है वो मल्टी सेलुलर कॉम्प्लेक्स ऑर्गेनिज्म के केस में इनसफिशिएंट क्यों है, अपर्याप्त क्यों है एक्सचेंज ऑफ गैसेस के लिए. इसका पहला रीजन है बच्चों, डिफ्यूजन इज अ वेरी स्लो प्रोसेस. And by that slow process, we cannot be able to acquire our sufficiency of oxygen or our requirement of oxygen. Second thing, every cell is not in the direct contact of the atmosphere. बच्चे हमारी बॉडी में काफी सारे लेयर्स हैं सेल्स की और हमारी हर सेल डायरेक्ट एटमोस्फेयर के कांटेक्ट में है ही नहीं. तो डिफ्यूजन की पहली रिक्वायरमेंट होती ही ये है कि डिफ्यूजन के लिए डायरेक्ट कांटेक्ट होना जरूरी है. बट every cell is not in direct contact with the atmosphere. तो पहला रीजन है बच्चों, diffusion is a very slow process. Second reason is every cell or every body cell is not in direct contact with the atmosphere, which is prerequisite for exchange of gases through diffusion. Next, third point and the very important point is our volume. The volume of multicellular complex organism is very big, very high, very large. Whereas the volume of unicellular organism is very less. Due to that large volume, diffusion cannot be able to complete the need of oxygen. Whereas due to small volume in case of unicellular, diffusion is sufficient. So do mark this question and read and write it very carefully. So that's how the respiration occur in other organisms.